Welcome to another video from ultimateged.com. In this video, we will be looking at GED Math 2024 test prep questions. Please, it's important you try all the questions. You can also get the full course with over 200 step-by-step videos covering all the topics you need to pass the GED Math Test at ultimateged.com. Okay, let's dive in. The graph below represents the number of items sold in each category at a retail store during a week. What is the average number of items sold per category? A. 22. B. 24. C. 26. D. 28. This question wants us to find the average from the graph. Understanding graphs and calculating averages are extremely important for passing the GED. You'll need it for GED Math, GED Science, and GED Social Studies. The average will be the sum of the items divided by the number of categories. Category A has 10 items, Category B has 30 items, Category C has 20 items, Category D has 40 items, and Category E has 30 items. We add this to get 130 items. This will be divided by the number of categories, which is 5. We do the division to get the average as 26. Therefore, option C, 26, is the correct answer. Please encourage us to post more videos by liking, sharing, and subscribing. We really appreciate it. Find the slope of the line passing through the points 2, 4, and 6, 5. A. 1 over 4. B. 1 over 2. C. 1. D. 2. Slope questions are a crucial part of the GED Math Test. We will look at various forms in the course of this video. Please take note of all of them so you can pass the GED Math. To find the slope of a line given 2 points, we will use the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Formulas are given on the GED, so don't worry too much about it. Please note that you can call any of the point 1 or 2. I'm choosing this as 1 and this as 2. We know that when you have a point, the first value is your x, and the second value is your y. Since we are calling this point 1, we will have x1, y1 here. Same thing for this. Since we are calling this our point 2, we can call this x2, y2. We just put the values into the formula. We have 5, which is y2, minus 4, which is y1, divided by 6, which is x2, minus 2, which is x1. We simplify. 5 minus 4 is 1, over 6 minus 2, which is 4. So the slope is 1 over 4. The correct answer is A, 1 over 4. What percentage of $15 is $10? A. 48%. B. 54%. C. 67%. D. 73%. This is a very common question in almost every standard math test. There are 2 easy ways to solve it. You can use the word problem idea or the proportion idea. We will use the proportion setup. You can check out ultimateged.com for the other kind and practice more examples and other twists. The setup is like this. The value after the of comes here. For this question, it is 15. The value after the is goes here. For this question, the value is 10. The percentage value goes here. For this question, that is what we are solving, so we can represent it by x. Next, we solve for x. We will multiply both sides by 100. The 100 will cancel out. 10 divided by 15 times 100 is 66.67. We can round this up to 67%. The correct answer is therefore option C, 67%. Olivia runs a boutique where she sells handcrafted jewelry. She buys silver chains at a wholesale price of $15 each and sells them for $25 each in her boutique. Olivia wants to determine the percentage profit she makes on each silver chain sold. What is the percentage profit Olivia makes on each silver chain? A. 48%. B. 54%. C. 67%. D. 73%. The formula for finding profit percent is the selling price minus the cost price over the cost price times 100. The selling price minus the cost price is the same as the profit. So if the value for the profit is given, you can use that rather. This is not a formula that is usually given on the GED. We are just going to plug our values in. The selling price was $25, the cost price was $15. We compute this on the calculator. 25 minus 15 divided by 15 times 100 is 66.67%. We can round this up to get 67%. Please, if you're not familiar with rounding numbers, check out ultimateged.com for more. The correct answer is therefore option C, 67%. If you don't remember the formula, then the way to go about it is to first find the profit. The profit is the selling price, that is $25, minus the cost price, which is $15. This will give us $10. From here, you are just finding what percentage of $15 is $10, like what we saw in the previous question. Given the function g of x equals the square root of 5 minus x, for which values of x is the function g of x undefined? A. When x is greater than 5. B. When x is less than 5. C. When x is greater or equal to 5. D. When x is less or equal to 5. There are two conditions that makes a function undefined. 1. A function is undefined if the denominator of the fraction is 0. Example, 5 over 0 is undefined. 2. A function is undefined for the square root of a negative number. Example, the square root of -9 is undefined. For this question, the function will be undefined for the square root of a negative number. So we want an x value that will make the value in the square root negative. You do not need to do any major calculation for this question. Let's look at our options. Option A says, when x is greater than 5. We pick a number that is greater than 5 and test it. We can use 6. 5 minus 6 is -1. Since we have a negative number, option A is correct. Let's look at the other options. Option B is obviously wrong. Option B says, when x is less than 5. We pick the number 4 and test it. 5 minus 4 is 1. This is not negative, so it is wrong. Option C is what confuses a lot of students. Option C says, when x is greater or equal to 5. The first part, the greater than, is just like option A, so that part is true. But the equal to part is false. If we pick 5, then we have 5 minus 5, which is 0. Square root of 0 is 0. This is not negative. Option D is obviously wrong because it has less than, just like option B, so the correct answer is A, when x is greater than 5. A company produces and sells gadgets. The cost to produce X gadgets is given by the polynomial Cx equals 5x squared plus 20x plus 100. The revenue generated from selling X gadgets is given by the polynomial Rx equals 15x squared plus 30x. Which of the following polynomial expressions represents the profit Px from producing and selling X gadgets? A. 10x squared plus 10x plus 100. B. 10x squared plus 50x plus 100. C. 10x squared plus 10x minus 100. D. 20x squared plus 50x minus 100. To pass the GED, you must be able to create polynomials from written descriptions. Here, we are writing an expression to represent Px, which is the profit. We know that the profit is the selling price minus the cost price. Selling price is the same as the revenue. So we are just going to subtract our polynomials. For subtracting polynomials, I like to write it like this. I have the selling price or revenue here, 15x squared plus 30x. Then I will write the cost price here, 5x squared plus 20x plus 100. Notice I wrote each term under its respective term. So x squared terms are lined up, x terms are lined up. Because there is a constant term in the cost price and no constant term in the revenue, I can write a 0 here to make it clearer. Now let's subtract. I like to start from the right, but for a question like this, it won't matter where you start. 0 minus 100 is minus 100. 30x minus 20x is 10x. Finally, 15x squared minus 5x squared is 10x squared. We can see that the correct answer is option C, 10x squared plus 10x minus 100. The line graph below shows the monthly sales from January to June. Based on the data, which month experienced the largest increase in sales compared to the previous month? A. February, B. March, C. April, D. June. This is a very simple question that a lot of GED test takers get wrong, because they confuse the highest value with the highest increase. Let's take some few minutes to look at it. For this question, you are told compared to the previous month, so it's easy to know what the question is asking. But even if that statement is not there, the question remains the same. We can see that the graph is increasing here, 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 and here. From here, the best way to answer this question is to eyeball the section that has the steepest slope. Or you can look at it as the increase line that is the longest. We can see that this occurs from February to March, so the largest increase in sales is in March. There are other ways you can eyeball, depending on the specific question. There are situations where eyeballing is not possible or difficult. In cases like that, you should calculate. You can find the largest increase by subtracting the previous month's sales from the current month's sales. So the increase from January to February will be 480 minus 450. This will be 30 units. We do the same from February to March. We have 800 minus 480. This will give us 320. We can do that for the rest of the months that there was an increase to get these as the values. We can see that the correct answer is option B, March. If we were just looking at the largest sales, the answer will be June, since June is 900 units. The city park is planning to create a new flower bed with a shape like the diagram below. What will be the area of this new flower bed? A. 250 square feet. B. 300 square feet. C. 350 square feet. D. 400 square feet. To solve this question, the first thing you have to be able to do is identify the shape of the diagram. This is a trapezoid. The area of a trapezoid is equal to half the height, h, multiplied by the sum of the lengths of its two parallel bases, b1 and b2. The height is the perpendicular distance between the two bases. This formula will be given to you on the GED, so nothing to memorize. These are the parallel bases. Let's call this base 1 and this base 2. This is the height, h. Please be careful when identifying what values to use. That is where most students get answers wrong. Once you have identified your values, just plug them into the formula. From the order of operations, we will do the parenthesis first. Add 20 and 30 to get 50. Now we have half times 12 times 50. We multiply this to get 300. So the correct answer is B, 300 square feet. Given the function f of x equals 2x squared plus 3, find f of negative 2. A. Negative 1. B. 7. C. 11. D. 19. To find f of negative 2, we need to substitute negative 2 for x in the function. Wherever you see x, just replace it with negative 2. So we have f of negative 2 equals 2 times negative 2 squared plus 3. Please be very careful when substituting a negative number. I always put it in parentheses. This is to make sure the negative is also squared. Now we will use the order of operation to get the answer. If you're not familiar with the order of operations, please check the links below this video and watch it. From the order of operations, we will have to do the negative 2 squared first. Negative 2 squared is 4. So we have f of negative 2 equals 2 times 4 plus 3. Next, from the order of operations, we will do the multiplication by 2. 2 times 4 is 8. So we have f of negative 2 equals 8 plus 3. Then finally we will add 8 to 3. This will give 11 as our answer. So the correct answer is C. Sarah received a graduation gift of $2,000 from her family. She decides to deposit this amount in a savings account that offers a simple interest rate of 3% per annum. She plans to leave the money in the account for 5 years while she attends college. How much will Sarah have in her savings account at the end of the 5-year period? A. $2,300. B. $2,500. C. $2,600. D. $3,000. The amount that Sarah will get at the end of the 5 years will be the initial amount she deposited, which is the principal, plus the interest gained. We know the principal as $2,000, so we need to calculate the interest and add it. Simple interest questions are basically formula work, and the formula will be given to you on the GED formula sheet. Simple interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. We just substitute our values into the formula and solve. Here, the principal, which is the amount she received and deposited, is $2,000. The rate is 3%. We convert it to the decimal form. 3% is 3 over 100. This is the same as 0.03. The time is 5 years, so we have times 5. We compute this on the calculator. 2,000 times 0.03 times 5 to get 300. So the interest the Sarah will receive is $300. We add our interest to the principal to get $2,300. Therefore, the correct answer is option A, $2,300. The population of a small town increases by 5% each year. If the population is currently 1,000 people, what will the population be in 3 years? A. 1,100. B. 1,150. C. 1,158. D. 1,276. We will look at 2 ways to solve this question. For the first way of solving it, we are just going to increase the population by 5% each year for 3 years. For the first year, we will have the initial number 1,000 plus the percent growth. This is 5% of 1,000. 5% is 5 over 100, which is 0.05. 0.05 times 1,000 is 50. We add it to the 1,000 to get 1,050. For the second year, we have 1,050 plus 0.05 times 1,050. We work this out to get 1,102.5. When you're dealing with populations, normally you will have to round this up, but we will leave it, since we are not concerned about year 2. For year 3, we have 1,102.5 plus 0.05 times 1,102.5. This will give us 1,157.625. Rounding this up, we have 1,158. The second method is to use the exponential growth formula. This formula is very similar to the compound interest formula. The formula is the population P equals P naught times 1 plus R exponent T. P naught is the initial population, which is 1,000 people. R is the growth rate, which is 5% or 0.05 as a decimal, and T is the time in years, which is 3 years. We put these values in the equation. We have P equals 1,000 times 1 plus 0.05 exponent 3. We work this on the calculator to get 1157.625. We round it up to get 1158. So the answer is option C, 1158. The calculation method is pretty straightforward, so that is my preferred method. We use the other method mainly because this formula is not on the GED Math formula sheet, so you may or may not be given the formula. Maria is planning a rectangular garden that will be 12 feet long and 8 feet wide. She wants to put a fence around the garden and then add a flower bed that is 1 foot wide around the outside of the fence. What is the total area covered by the garden and the flower bed? A. 96 square feet. B. 128 square feet. C. 120 square feet. D. 140 square feet. For GED geometry questions like this, it's important to have a diagram or a pictorial image of what the question is about. We have a rectangular garden that is 12 feet long and 8 feet wide. We want to put a fence around the garden and then add a flower bed that is 1 foot wide around the outside of the fence. This is the 1 foot bed. We know that area is length times width. All formulas are given on the GED, so no need to memorize anything. To find the total area covered by the garden and the flower bed, we need to find the total length and the total width. The full length is the length of the garden, that is 12, plus the 1 foot added on both sides, so the length is 14. The full width is the width of the garden, which is 8, plus the 1 foot added on both sides, so the width is 10. To find the area, we just have to multiply this. 14 times 10 is 140. So the correct answer is option D, 140 square feet. Arrange the following numbers from least to greatest. Absolute value of -1.3, 0.5, 3/2, and 1.1. For this question, the best way will be to make everything a decimal and compare the decimals. The only value that is not in the decimal form is 3/2. 3/2 is the same as 1.5. We just divided the 3 by the 2. The absolute value of any number is the positive of that number. So the absolute value of -1.3 is the same as 1.3. Now we can compare. 0.5 is the smallest, then 1.1, then the 1.3. This is the absolute value of -1.3, then 1.5. This is 3/2. A spinner is divided into 8 equal sections, numbered from 1 through 8. If the spinner is spun, what is the probability of it landing on an even number? A. 1/4. B. 1/2. C. 3/4. D. 1/8. To pass the GED, you must be familiar with solving probability questions. To find the probability of landing on an even number, we need to count how many even numbers there are on the spinner, and then divide that by the total number of sections on the spinner. We are told the spinner has 8 sections numbered 1 to 8. Even numbers are simply multiples of 2. The even numbers between 1 and 8 are 2, 4, 6, and 8. So, there are 4 even numbers. Therefore, the probability of landing on an even number is the number of even sections, 4, divided by the total number of sections, 8. We can simplify the fraction. Reduce by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. The probability of the spinner landing on an even number is 1/2. So the correct answer is B, 1/2. The relationship between temperature in Celsius, C, and Fahrenheit, F, is described by the equation F equals 9/5C plus 32. Which of the following equations correctly represents the temperature in Celsius, C, as a function of the temperature in Fahrenheit, F? This question is just asking us to solve for C. This is the same thing as transpose of formula or change of subject. To solve for C, we want the C to be on one side of the equation and everything else on the other side of the equation. This means we have to remove the times 9 divided by 5 and plus 32. We start with the plus 32. To remove it, we have to perform the opposite operation on both sides of the equation. The opposite of addition is subtraction, so we will subtract 32 from both sides. This 32 will cancel out. Now we have f minus 32 equals 9 over 5 times c. Next, we get rid of the 9 over 5 by dividing both sides by 9 over 5. The 9 over 5 is multiplying, so we performed the opposite operation on it, which is division. The 9 over 5 will cancel out. When you divide by a fraction, the fraction just flips. So the 9 over 5 becomes 5 over 9. When you have multiple terms, the best practice is to put it in parentheses before you multiply or divide. So now we have 5 over 9 times in parentheses f minus 32 equals c. So the correct answer is option D. On a coordinate plane, plot the following 4 points. A, -4, -3. B, -4, 2. C, 5, 2. And D, 5, -3. After plotting these points, connect them in the order A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A to form a figure. What is the figure formed? To answer this question, you have to know how to plot points on the coordinate plane and also identify shapes. Let's start by plotting our points. We know that on a point notation, the first value is your x value and the second value is your y value. So for A, -4, -3, the x value is -4 and the y value is -3. So this is our point. For B, -4, 2, the x value is -4 and the y value is 2. So this is our point. For C, 5, 2, the x value is 5 and the y value is 2. So this is our point. And for D, 5, -3, the x value is 5 and the y value is -3. So this is our point. We are told to connect the points in the order A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A. After connecting the points, we will notice that opposite sides are parallel and equal, and the angles are at 90 degrees. So this is a rectangle. Convert 96 inches to feet. We are given our conversion factor as 1 foot equals 12 inches. This is a simple question. Please do not get confused when a question like this is made a word problem. This same question could have been: Sarah is building a garden fence. She has a long piece of wood that is 96 inches long. To calculate how many fence posts she needs, she wants to know the length of the wood in feet. How many feet long is Sarah's piece of wood? We can use proportions to solve this, but the best setup looks like this. We will look at proportions later. You'll first write down what you are converting. In this case, 96 inches. Then you'll bring your conversion factor. You want to write it in a fraction form such that the inches will cancel out. Here, we will write 1 foot over 12 inches. The inches can cancel out. We now have 96 times 1 foot over 12. This will give us 8 feet. So 96 inches is 8 feet. Let's take an example to make this clearer. Convert 6 feet to inches. We are given our conversion factor as 1 foot equals 12 inches. You'll first write down what you are converting. In this case, 6 feet. Then you'll bring your conversion factor. You want to write it in a fraction form such that the feet will cancel out. Here, we will write 12 inches over 1 foot. The feet can cancel out. We now have 6 times 12 inches over 1. This will give us 72 inches. So 6 feet is 72 inches. Evaluate g of x equals 5x squared minus 2x when x equals 3b. A. g of 3b equals 27b squared minus 6b. b. g of 3b equals 45b squared minus 6b. c. g of 3b equals 15b squared minus 6b. d. g of 3b equals 45b squared minus 12b. For a question like this, our work is to substitute the x in g of x by the 3b, since we are told x equals 3b. g of 3b equals 5 times 3b squared minus 2 times 3b. When we square 3b, we multiply 3 by itself and b by itself, which gives us 9b squared. We have g of 3b equals 5 times 9b squared minus 2 times 3b. Then we need to multiply the terms. We multiply 5 by 9b squared. 5 times 9b squared equals 45b squared. And we multiply minus 2 by 3b. Minus 2 times 3b equals minus 6b. So the correct answer is option B, g of 3b equals 45b squared minus 6b. Vivian is setting up a circular trampoline in her backyard. The trampoline's jumping surface has an area of 10 pi square feet. Vivian wants to determine the diameter of the trampoline to ensure it fits in the designated spot in her backyard. Which of the following options represents the correct diameter of the trampoline? A. 2 root 5. B. 5 root 2. C. 2 root 10. D. 10 root 10. Before we even solve the question, I want you to know that the diameter of a circle is the longest distance from one part of the surface to the other. So if you want to fit a circular object into a space, you will need the diameter. For this question, we need the area formula because we have been given the area in the question. All formulas are given to you on the GED Math, so nothing to memorize. The area of a circle is pi r squared. We are told the area of her trampoline is 10 pi. We can solve for r. Divide both sides by the pi. They will all cancel out. So we have r squared equals 10. We need to find the r. To get the r by itself, we will find the square root of both sides. The square will cancel the square root. Then we will have the square root of 10. This is the radius, but we are supposed to find the diameter. The diameter is 2 times the radius. So diameter will be 2 root 10. The correct answer is therefore option C. Which of the graphs is a possible representation of the function y equals negative 3x plus 4? Here, there are no values on the graphs, so nothing to calculate. Option A and B are obviously wrong answers because they are parabolas or the graph of a quadratic function. For it to be option A or option B, the function must have x exponent 2. Both option C and option D are linear function. The slope of C is going up, so it's a positive slope. The slope of D is going down, so it's a negative slope. Now looking at the function, we see that it's in the form y equals mx plus b. We said in this form the m, or what is with the x, is the slope. Here the slope is negative 3. Since the slope is negative, the answer will be choice D. A student's average score on 4 tests is 85. What does the student need to score on the 5th test to raise their average to 90? A. 80. B. 90. C. 100. D. 110. This is a typical average or mean question. The average score is the total score over the number of tests taken. For the 4 test, we have been given the average as 85. The number of tests taken is 4. We can find the total score. Multiply both sides by 4. The 4 will cancel out. 4 times 85 is 340. So the total score for the 4 tests is 340. Average of the 5 tests is total scores of all 5 tests divided by the number of tests taken. We know the total for 4 of the test, which is 340. Let's represent the score for the 5th test by x. So the average of the tests, which has been given as 90, will be equal to the sum of the 4 tests, which is 340, plus the 5th test, which is x, divided by the number of tests taken, which we know is 5. Now we solve for x to know the score of the 5th test. Multiply both sides by the denominator, which is 5. 5 will cancel 5, leaving 340 plus x. When we multiply 90 by 5, we will get 450. To find x, we need to subtract 340 from both sides. When we subtract 340 from 340 plus x, negative 340 will cancel 340, leaving x. Again, when we subtract 340 from 450, we will get 110. Therefore, the student need to score 110 in the 5th test to raise the average to 90. So the correct answer is D. A line M passes through the point -2, 4 and has a slope of -2. Which of the following points also lies on the line M? A. -4, 6. B. -1, 2. C. 0, 2. D. 3, -2. Slope questions are also very common on the GED. We have a video on slopes. You can check it for more. For this question, we have been given a point and a slope. So we will start with the point-slope formula, which will be given to you on the GED. Y minus y1 equals m, in parenthesis, x minus x1. Our work is to change it to the slope-intercept form so that we can input the values in the choices. x1 and y1 are the values of the point you have been given, and m is the slope. We put these values into the equation. We have y minus 4 equals -2 in parentheses, x minus -2. Minus -2 can simply be written as plus 2. We expand. -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 2 is -4. So we have y minus 4 equals -2x minus 4. We want the y to be on one side of the equation. We will add 4 to both sides. The 4 will cancel out. So we have y equals -2x. Now that we have the equation in the slope-intercept form, we can input our x values from the option and check if we will get our y value. Let's start with option A. The x value is -4 and the y value is 6. We have y equals -2 times -4. -2 times -4 is 8. It is not 6, so choice A is wrong. Let's check choice B. We input our x value. We have y equals -2 times -1. -2 times -1 is 2. This is the expected y value, so option B is the correct answer. Question 13. What function represents the information in the table? A. F of x equals 2x plus 1. B. F of x equals x minus 3. C. F of x equals x plus 3. D. F of x equals 3x minus 3. Here, the best way is to solve it from the answers. We input the x values into the various functions and see if we will get our f of x values. For teaching purpose, we are going through everything. You don't have to on the test. You can accurately eyeball and eliminate obvious wrong choices. Since it's easy to work with 0, I'll try that first so I can narrow the possible answers. Replace x with 0 for choice A. 2 times 0 plus 1 equals 1. It was supposed to be -3, so choice A is definitely wrong. Replace x in choice B with 0. 0 minus 3 equals -3, so choice B is a possible answer. Now replace x with 1 in choice B to confirm. 1 minus 3 equals -2. It was supposed to be 0, so choice B is wrong. Replace x in choice C with 0. 0 plus 3 equals 3. It was supposed to be -3, so choice C is wrong. So since choice A to C are wrong, it means choice D will be the answer. Let's confirm. Let's replace x with 0. We have 3 times 0 minus 3 equals negative 3 as expected. We try 1. We have 3 times 1 minus 3 equals 0 as expected. Then we try 2. We have 3 times 2 minus 3 equals 3 as expected. So D is definitely the answer. What is the slope of the line below? A. 1. B. Negative 1. C. Negative 2. D. 2. The correct answer is B. Negative 1. The slope of a line is the change in y over the change in x. We know that the change in y simply means how many points you are going up or down. If you are going up, then you have a positive change. If you are going down, then you have a negative change. The change in x simply means how many points you are going to the right or left. If you are going to the right, then you have a positive change. If you are going to the left, then you have a negative change. Let's look at our question. Our first step will be to choose any 2 points on the line. I am choosing these 2 points. Let's call it A and B. You can choose any 2 points on the line. However, it is important to choose points that will make your work easier. Choose points whose x and y values can be easily determined. Normally, points at the corners are best. Now to find the slope, all we are doing is moving from one point of the line to the other on the slope triangle. Let's move from B to A. We moved down 2 points. Notice moving down is negative. So we have negative 2 here. Then we will move to the right 2 points to get to A. Notice that moving to the right is positive. We have 2 here. Negative 2 over positive 2 is negative 1. So our slope is negative 1. Notice that our first movement is always change in y, that is moving up or down, then our second movement is change in x. That is moving left or right. There are other ways we could have moved to get the same results. Check our other GED videos for more. A bar graph shows the percentage of votes received by 5 candidates in a student council election. If 500 students voted in the election, how many votes did candidate C receive? A. 100 votes. B. 125 votes. C. 150 votes. D. 175 votes. Questions that deals with graphs and percentages are common on the GED. To solve it, we need to first know the percentage of votes candidate C got. From the graph, we can see that candidate C got 25% of the vote. If the total votes cast is 500, then all we need to do to find candidate A's votes is to find 25% of 500. 25% is the same as 25 over 100. Of in mathematics means multiplication. So we have 25 over 100 times 500. We compute this on the calculator to get 125. So the correct answer is B, 125 votes. A rectangular field is to be fenced. The length of the field is twice its width. If the width of the field is represented as s meters, what expression represents the total amount of fencing needed to enclose the entire field? A. 2s plus 4. B. 6s. C. 6s plus 2. D. 4s plus 2. Questions in which the answer is an expression is also common on the GED. You have to be familiar with geometry word problems that requires you to find the area or perimeter. Here, we are talking about fencing, so the question is about perimeter. If the question was, how much grass will cover the field, we will be looking at the area. The formula for perimeter will be given to you on the GED. This is twice the length plus twice the width. From the question, we are told that the width is s, so we can replace the width with s. From the question, we are told that the length of the field is twice its width. So length equals 2 times width. But we know that the width is s, so this will be length equals 2s. We put this into the perimeter formula. We have 2 times 2s, plus 2 times s. 2 times 2s is 4s. So we have 4s plus 2s. This will give us 6s. Therefore, the expression that represents the total amount of fencing needed to enclose the field is 6s. So the correct answer is B. A company produces two types of widgets, A and B. The company can produce a maximum of 100 widgets per day. Widget A takes 3 hours to produce, and widget B takes 5 hours to produce. If the company has a total of 420 hours available each day for production, what is the maximum number of each type of widget it can produce, without exceeding the production constraints? A. 40 of A and 60 of B. B. 50 of A and 40 of B. C. 75 of A and 25 of B. D. 60 of A and 50 of B. Before we even solve this question, let's clarify something that throws a lot of students off before they even start answering a question like this. The company has a total of 420 hours available each day for production. We are able to have more than 24 hours a day because several productions are concurrent. Assume there are 42 machines, each working 10 hours in the day. So the production is 420 hours. Okay, let's solve it. This is a typical GED Math simultaneous equation word problem. This particular question is interesting, so please pay close attention. We have two widgets, so we need two equations to solve it. The first equation is the total widgets. The company can produce 100 widgets per day. This means the number of widget A produced plus the number of widget B produced is less or equal to 100. Because the question is about finding the maximum, we will use equal to. We are saying the company produced all the 100 widgets that it can produce. The second equation is the total hours. Widget A takes 3 hours to produce and widget B takes 5 hours to produce. If the company has a total of 420 hours available each day for production, then the hours used to produce widget A plus the hours used to produce widget B must be less or equal to 420 hours. Again, the question wants us to find the maximum, so we will use equal to. This is because to produce the maximum, the company must use all hours available. From here, the correct way to solve it is to use simultaneous equations. You can check that out with the links below this video or on ultimateged.com. We will, however, solve it with the multiple choice answers. We want the answer that will satisfy both equations. The first one says that the sum of A plus B must be 100. Since option B and option D do not add up to 100, we can eliminate them. We test option A with the second equation. 3 times 40 plus 5 times 60. This must be 420. 3 times 40 is 120. 5 times 60 is 300. When we add, we will get 120. Therefore, option A, 40 of A and 60 of B, is the correct answer. In a basketball practice session, two players, player X and player Y, were practicing free throws. Player X attempted 60 free throws and successfully made 33 of them. Player Y attempted 30 free throws and made 18. Based on their shooting percentages, who is the more accurate free throw shooter? A. Player X. B. Player Y. C. Both have the same shooting percentage. D. Cannot be determined. Comparison questions are common on the GED Math. Here, you've been told to compare based on their shooting percentage. To find the shooting percentage, we have to divide the number of successful shots by the total number of attempts and multiply it by 100. From the question, player X has attempted a total of 60 free throws. Out of these, player X has successfully made 33 shots. To calculate player X shooting percentage, divide the number of successful shots, 33, by the total number of attempts, 60. Then multiply by 100. We do this on the calculator to get 55%. So player X shooting percentage is 55%. From the question, player Y has attempted a total of 30 free throws. Out of these, player Y has successfully made 18 shots. To calculate player Y's shooting percentage, divide the number of successful shots, 18, by the total number of attempts, 30. Then multiply by 100. We do this on the calculator to get 60%. So, player Y's shooting percentage is 60%. Based on the calculated shooting percentages, player Y is the more accurate free throw shooter. The correct answer is therefore B, player Y. Simplify the absolute value of negative 20 plus 8. A, 8. B, 12. C, 20. D, 28. Okay, simplify the absolute value of the expression negative 20 plus 8. First, evaluate the expression inside the absolute value. Negative 20 plus 8 equals negative 12. Now take the absolute value of negative 12. The absolute value of both a negative number or positive number is positive. The absolute value of negative 12 is therefore 12. Hence, the correct answer is option B, 12. What is the surface area of the given cone? A, 150.72 centimeters squared. B, 250.32 centimeters squared. C, 301.44 centimeters squared. D, 360.56 centimeters squared. To determine the total surface area of the cone, we'll use the formula pi times radius squared plus pi times radius times slant height. This formula will be given to you on the GED, so no need to memorize. From the figure, our radius is 6 centimeters and slant height is 10 centimeters. Please be careful about the slant height. You are sometimes given the vertical height, not the slant height. We plug these values into our formula. We calculate pi times 6 squared plus pi times 6 times 10. Pi is 3.14. 6 squared is 36, and 6 times 10 is 60. So we have 3.14 times 36, plus 3.14 times 60. We work this on the calculator to get 113.04, plus 188.4. Summing these up, the total surface area becomes 301.44 square centimeters. Hence, the correct answer is C, 301.44 square centimeters. Jenny is saving money for a new bike. She already has $50 and plans to save $10 each week. Write an equation that represents the total amount of money M that Jenny will have after X weeks. A, M equals 50x plus 10. B, M equals 10x plus 50. C, M equals 50x minus 10. D, M equals 10x minus 50. This is a two-step equation that is very common on the GED. We cover it extensively on our GED Math course. Please check it out at ultimateged.com to learn all the twists to two-step equations, word problems, and much more. For this question, there are 3 parts. The total. Here, we have been told it is M. So we have M equals. Next, we have the recurring. This is the value that keeps repeating. This is the value with the X. We have $10 each week, so this will be 10x. Then finally, we have our constant. Here, it is $50. Since she has the $50, we will have plus 50. Therefore, option B is the answer. M equals 10x plus 50. What is the y-intercept of the graph? A, 1. B, -1. C, -2. D, 2. The correct answer is D, 2. The y-intercept is the point where the line meets the y-axis. This is our y-axis. The line meets the y-axis at this point. The value here is 2, therefore the y-intercept is 2. You could have been asked to find the x-intercept. This is simply the point the line meets the x-axis, so this will be that point. Therefore, the x-intercept is 1. Simplify the expression square root of 2 times square root of 8 minus square root of 12. A, 4 minus 2 times the square root of 6. B. 4 plus 2 times the square root of 6. C. 2 times the square root of 6 minus 4. D. 2 times the square root of 2 minus 2 times the square root of 3. To pass the GED, you must be able to perform operations on exponents and roots or radicals. To solve this question, we have to multiply each term in the parenthesis by the term outside the parenthesis. We have root 2 times root 8. Since both values are under the root sign, you can multiply them and place the value under the root sign. 2 times 8 is 16. So we have root 16, same here. We have root 2 times root 12. 2 times 12 is 24. So we have root 24. Next, we check if we can simplify. To simplify roots or radicals, there are two things you are looking at. One, is the value under the square root sign a perfect square? Can it be written as a number times itself? 4 is a perfect square. That is 2 times 2. 9 is a perfect square. That is 3 times 3. 16 is a perfect square. That is 4 times 4. Hope you get the point. Here is a list of the first 10 perfect squares. 2. Can the number be written as a perfect square times another number? Example: 8 can be written as the perfect square 4 times 2. If you cannot use 1 or 2, then the radical cannot be simplified. Let's simplify our question. For the root 16, we can see that 16 is a perfect square. That is 4 times 4. So the square root of 16 is 4. For the root 24, we can see that it is not a perfect square. We find out if we can write it as a perfect square times another number. 24 can be written as the perfect square 4 times 6. We can find the square root of the 4. 2 times 2 is 4. So square root of 4 is 2. Since we did not find the square root of the 6, it will remain under the root sign. So we have 2 times root 6. Our final answer is therefore 4 minus 2 times square root of 6. The correct answer is therefore option A. If Mary wants to make 36 cookies instead of 24 cookies according to her chocolate chip cookie recipe that requires 2 cups of flour and 1 cup of chocolate chips for the original yield, how much flour and how many cups of chocolate chips will she need for the increased yield? A. 3 cups of flour and 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. B. 2.5 cups of flour and 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. C. 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of chocolate chips. D. 2.5 cups of flour and 2 cups of chocolate chips. This is a typical GED math proportion question. Setting up proportions is one of the most important skills needed to pass the GED. Let's represent the cups of flour by X and the cups of chocolate chips by Y. For a proportion, there is a conversion factor that has been given. Here, for the flour, we know Mary used 2 cups to make 24 cookies. Also for the chocolate, we know she used 1 cup to make 24 cookies. Then we will set up the unknown. We know she wants to make 36 cookies, so we put it here. We don't know how many cups of flour she'll use, so we represent it by X. Once we have set up our proportion, we will cross multiply. 36 times 2 is 72. Then X times 24 is 24X. Finally, we will solve for the X. Divide both sides by 24. The 24 will cancel out. 72 divided by 24 is 3. So she will need 3 cups of flour. Now let's look at the cups of chocolate chips she'll need. The setup is exactly the same. We know she wants to make 36 cookies, so we will put it here, under the cookies. We don't know how many cups of chocolate chips she needs. We will represent it by Y. Again, we will cross multiply. 36 times 1 is 36. Then Y times 24 is 24Y. We solve for Y, divide through by 24. The 24 will cancel out. 36 divided by 24 is 1.5. So she'll need 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. So the correct answer is A, 3 cups of flour and 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. A line graph shows the sales of a product over 5 days. On day 1, the sales were 40 units, and they increased by 10 units each day. What were the total sales for the 5-day period? To know the sales made for all the 5 days, first, we have to know the sales units for each of the days. And after that, we add all the sales units. Since the number of days were 5, number from 1 to 5 to represent the days. Now with the sales units, we are given that, on day 1, the sales were 40. But from day 2 to 5, the sales units increased by 10 units each day. So for day 2, add 10 to the sales unit of day 1, which is 40 plus 10, and that will be 50. The same way, on day 3 too, the sales increased by 10 units. So add 10 to the second day's sales, which is 50 plus 10 equals 60. Likewise, add 10 to the 60 units for day 4, which is 60 plus 10 equals 70. Lastly, also increase the sales unit for day 4 by 10. That's 70 plus 10 equals 80. Now since we have the sales units for each day, put all the sales units together to get the total, which is 40 plus 50 plus 60 plus 70 plus 80, and that equals 300 units. Hence, the total sales units for the 5 days period is 300 units. Add the polynomials 5x exponent 4 minus 3x cubed plus x plus 7 and negative 2x exponent 4 plus 4x cubed minus x squared plus x minus 8. A. 3x exponent 4 plus x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 1. B. 3x exponent 4 plus x cubed minus x squared plus 2x plus 1. C. 3x exponent 4 plus x cubed minus x squared plus x minus 1. D. 3x exponent 4 plus x cubed plus x squared plus x plus 7. You can only add like terms in polynomials. Like terms have the same variable and exponent. I will quickly write all their different terms I see. I see an x exponent 4 term, an x exponent 3 term, and x exponent 2 term, an x term, and a constant term. A constant is basically just a number without letters. We write the terms of the first polynomial under their respective terms. Next, we write the terms of the second polynomial under their respective terms. Please note that the minus is the sign of the number after it. That is why we wrote negative 3x cubed. This is because of the minus 3x cubed in the first polynomial. The same idea applies to the negative 2x exponent 4, the negative x exponent 2, and the negative 8 from the second polynomial. Please note that you don't have to write your setup the same way I'm presenting mine. You don't even need a setup. The work is to use any method that will ensure that you add like terms and avoid errors. Let's add. For this addition, you can start from any term, provided you are adding like terms. I will start from the left. We have 5x exponent 4 plus negative 2x exponent 4. 5 plus negative 2 is 3. So we have 3x exponent 4. Next, we work on the x cubed term. Negative 3x cubed plus 4x cubed. This will give us 1x cubed, which is the same as x cubed. We work on the x squared term. There's only negative x squared. Nothing to add it to, so we have negative x squared. We work on the x terms. X is the same as 1x, so 1x plus 1x will be 2x. Then finally, we add the constant. 7 plus negative 8 is negative 1. So our answer is A. 3x exponent 4 plus x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 1. What expression represents thrice the sum of a number z and 8? To pass the GED, you must be familiar with translation of word into math. You can check out our full video on translations, or you can download the translation sheet using the links below. Let's look at the solution. Thrice means 3 times. Sum is addition, but it's a group word, so you have to put the values in parentheses. The sum of z and 8 will be in parenthesis z plus 8. When you have times in front of parenthesis, you can take it off. So our answer is option A. Please, it's important you check out the translation video. There's much more to learn. Which of the following graphs represents the equation y equals 2x plus 3? One of the biggest ways to waste time on the GED is by calculating things that do not need calculations. For this question, you can find the answer by calculation, but that will be too much work. The first thing we notice is that the equation is in the slope-intercept form. This is y equals mx plus b. In this form, the value with the x is your slope, and the value without the x is your y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the line meets the y-axis. For this question, the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is 3. Since all these lines meet the y-axis at different points, we can consider that to find the answer. We are looking for the line that meets the y-axis at the point 3. We can see that the blue line meets the y-axis at 3. So the y-intercept of the blue line is 3. Same as the equation. From the legend, we know that the blue line is A. Therefore, line A is the correct answer. A pie chart shows the budget allocation for a small project. If the total budget for the project is $10,000, what is the difference in allocation between materials and labor? A. $500. B. $1,000. C. $1,500. D. $2,000. This is a typical GED math pie chart question. There are two easy ways to solve it. I will solve it by first finding the difference in the percentages. Materials is 40% and labor is 30%. 40 minus 30 is 10. So the difference is 10%. Now, to find the amount. We do exactly the same thing we did in the previous question. The total is 10,000. We have 10% of 10,000. This 10 over 100 times 10,000. This will give us 1,000. So the correct answer is B, 1,000. The following graph represents the score range of students in a math class. How many students are in the class? A. 12. B. 14. C. 15. D. 17. Being able to read and interpret graphs is a must on the GED. Here, the x-axis represents the score range and the y-axis represents the number of students whose score are within that range. From the graph, you'll notice that there are 3 students whose score ranged from 61 to 70. From the graph, there are 5 students whose score ranged from 71 to 80. From the graph, there are 4 students whose score ranged from 81 to 90. From the graph, there are 2 students whose score ranged from 91 to 100. We add these to get the number of students. 3 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2 equals 14. Therefore, there are 14 students in the class. So the correct answer is B. The following graph represents the score range of students in a math class. What percentage of students failed the test if the passing score is 71? A. 21.43%. B. 30.51%. C. 18.77%. D. 15.05%. Please, it's very important you master how to find percentages, especially from graphs. From the graph, we can see that 3 students scored 61 to 70. All the other students scored 71 or above. Percentage of students that failed will be the number of students that failed, which is 3, over the total number of students, which is 14, like we saw in the previous question. This will be multiplied by 100 to get the percentage. Compute this on the calculator to get 21.43% failed. The correct answer is therefore A. With what you just learned, you should be able to answer questions like what percentage of students passed and what percentage of students scored 71 to 80? The length of a rectangle is represented by 2x plus 1 and the width by x minus 3. Which of the following polynomial expressions represents the area of the rectangle? A. 2x squared minus 6x minus 3. B. 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. C. 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. D. 2x minus 6x plus 3. To solve this question, you have to be familiar with finding the area of a rectangle, and you must also know how to multiply and simplify polynomials. The formula for finding the area of a rectangle will be given to you on the GED formula sheet. It is length times the width. In this question, we are told that the length is 2x plus 1. We can put it in place of the length here. We are also told the width is x minus 3. We replace the width with x minus 3. Next, to find the area, we have to multiply these two polynomials. We will multiply each term in the second polynomial by the terms in the first polynomial. Multiply the 2x by x to get 2x squared. Then multiply 2x by negative 3 to get negative 6x. Now we take the second term. Multiply 1 by x to get 1x, which is the same as x. Finally, multiply 1 by negative 3 to get negative 3. The method we used is commonly known as the FOIL method. I am personally not a fan of most acronyms in math. They bring little benefit and can actually make students get answers wrong. Next, we check if there are like terms we can combine. We can combine negative 6x plus x to get negative 5x. There's nothing more we can combine. Our answer is 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. So the correct option is option B. A pie chart shows the distribution of a student's study time by subject. If the student spends 40% of their time studying math, 30% studying science, 10% studying history, and the rest on other subjects, what percentage of their time is spent on other subjects? A. 5%. B. 10%. C. 15%. D. 20%. To solve this question, we need to calculate the percentage of time spent on other subjects. First, we add up the percentages spent on math, science, and history, which is 40% plus 30% plus 10%, resulting in 80%. Now, to find the percentage spent on other subjects, we subtract 80% from 100% because the total percentage of study time is 100%. The total percentage in a pie chart is always 100%. This is 20%. So, the answer is D, 20%. The student spends 20% of their time on other subjects. A cylindrical tank has a radius of 5 feet and a height of 10 feet. How many gallons of water can the tank hold? Note, 1 cubic foot equals 7.48 gallons. Pi is 3.14. A. 5,600 gallons. B. 5,872 gallons. C. 6,000 gallons. D. 6,200 gallons. For this question, we are finding the volume of a cylinder. The formula for finding the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared, h. This formula will be given to you on the GED. We place our values in. Volume equals pi, which is 3.14, times r squared. The radius is 5, so we have 5 squared. Then we have times h. The height is 10, so we have times 10. We work this out on the calculator to get 785 cubic feet. We can see that our answer choices are not in cubic feet, so we have to convert it to gallons. Converting units is one of the most important things on the GED math. Let's set it up. We write the value we want to convert. In this case, the 785 cubic feet. Then we take the conversion factor. We want to write it in a way that the cubic feet will cancel out. So for this, we will write the 7.48 gallons on top, then divide it by the 1 cubic foot. Since it's dividing, the cubic feet will cancel the cubic foot. We have 785 times 7.48. This is 5,871.8. Rounding it up, we have 5,872. The correct answer is therefore option B. A bag contains 8 red marbles, 6 blue marbles, and 4 green marbles. If a marble is chosen at random, what is the probability that it is blue? A. 1 over 4. B. 3 over 4. C. 2 over 9. D. 1 over 3. This is a very simple probability question. The probability of choosing a blue marble will be the number of blue marbles over the total number of marbles. Here, we have 6 blue marbles. We divide it by the total, which is 8 plus 6 plus 4. This will give us 18. We can reduce this. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. So the probability of choosing a blue marble is 1 over 3. Therefore, the correct answer is D. If a line has a slope of -2 over 3, what is the slope of a line that is perpendicular to it? A. -3 over 2. B. 2 over 3. C. -2 over 3. D. 3 over 2. The correct answer is D. 3 over 2. When two lines are perpendicular to each other, their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Reciprocal here simply means flipping the numerator and denominator of the number. So 2 over 3 will be 3 over 2. The negative will simply change the sign. So here, since this is -2 over 3, we will have positive 3 over 2. We basically flipped the numbers and changed the sign. There's no need to write plus in front of a number, so the answer is D, 3 over 2. Please check out ultimateged.com for more twists to questions like this. What inequality is represented by the number line? A. -4 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 3. B. -4 is greater than x, which is greater than 3. C. -4 is less than x, which is less than 3. D. -4 is greater than or equal to x, which is greater than or equal to 3. There are 3 things we are looking at here. The first is the endpoints. Here, we have -4 and 3. We can see that all the answer choice have -4 and 3, so we cannot eliminate any of the choices. Next, we look at if the endpoint is shaded or not shaded. If it is shaded, then the inequality must have an equal sign. If it is not shaded, then the inequality does not have an equal sign. Both endpoints are not shaded, so we can eliminate choice A and choice D. They have equal sign. Finally, we pick a number to represent our x. The number must fall on the line we are writing the inequality for. I will use 1. You can use any of these numbers. Check which answer choice will be true. For choice B, we have -4 is greater than 1, which is greater than 3. This statement is not true. -4 is not greater than 1, and 1 is not greater than 3. This leaves option C as the answer. We can verify. We are still using 1 for x. -4 is less than 1, which is less than 3. This statement is true. So we confirmed that C is the answer. Find the area of the figure below. To pass the GED, you must be able to work on composite shapes. To find the area of a figure like this, all you need to do is break the diagram into multiple shapes, find the area of each shape, and then add the areas. From the diagram, we can see that the figure can be subdivided into 2 separate shapes. That is a triangle and rectangle. The total area is the sum of the 2 areas. Let's first find the area of the rectangle. The area of a rectangle is given as the length times the width. Please note that all needed formulas are given on the GED, so no need to memorize. The length of the rectangle is 4, and the width is 5. Inserting the values, we have 4 times 5, which gives us 20. Now, we can find the area of the triangle. The area of a triangle is given as half times the base times the height. Here, we have not been directly given the base or the height. Another important skill for the GED is your ability to find missing dimensions from a given diagram. From the diagram, we can see that the base of the triangle is the same as the base of the rectangle. Therefore, if the base of the rectangle is 4, then the base of the triangle is 4. We can put the base value here. For the height, looking at the same diagram, we can see that the total height of the figure is 8. The height of the rectangle, also known as the width, is 5. Therefore, the height of the triangle is the total height 8 minus the length of the rectangle 5. This will give us 3. We have the area equals half times 4 times 3. We work this out on the calculator to get 6. To find the area of the composite figure, we will just add areas of the two figures. The area of the figure equals 20 plus 6, which gives us 26. What is the slope of the line represented by the equation y equals -3x plus 2? A. -3. B. 3. C. -2. D. 2. The correct answer is A. -3. This is one of the easiest slope question you'll find on the GED. The equation given is in the slope-intercept form. This is y equals mx plus b. In this form, the coefficient of the x is your slope. Basically, the number with the x is your slope. Since we have -3x, -3 will be our slope. Let's look at a similar question to this, but one that will require a little more. What is the slope of the line represented by the equation 2y equals 3x plus 6? A. 2 over 3. B. -2 over 3. C. 3 over 2. D. -3 over 2. The correct answer is C. 3 over 2. This is similar to the previous question, but you have to be careful. This equation is not in the slope-intercept form. For it to be in the slope-intercept form, we want the y to be by itself. We can achieve that by dividing through by 2. The 2 will cancel out. 6 over 2 is 3. So we have y equals 3 over 2x plus 3. Now, this is in the slope-intercept form of the equation of a line. Y equals mx plus b. We said in this form, the number with the x is our slope. So our slope is 3 over 2. We will end this video here. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to get the full course at ultimateged.com.